Welcome to Executive Leaders Radio, your spot in the corner office, the radio show where executives share their secrets to success. Executive Leaders Radio.
You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen, with my co-host, Jeff Mack from Newmark, Caleb Hoppus, Hanlon, Frank Hennessy, Premier Planning Group, and Pat Riley, USI. Jeffrey, can you please give us a rundown on who we have on the air with us today, please?
Sure, Herb. We have a great lineup of guests. Scott Korn, President and CEO of the Bengal Group. Dave Freeman, President and CEO of Qnb Bank. Mark Zinman is the managing partner of Zinman and Company. And Alex Bassett Strange is the co-owner of Bassett's Ice Cream Company.
Let's get to know our first guest, Scott Korn, President and CEO of the Bengal Group. Scott, what is the Bengal Group? What are you guys doing?
The Bengal Group is a manufacturing, converting, and warehousing company located in Limerick, Pennsylvania, that services the likes of Graphic Packaging, DuPont, and a host of other Fortune 100.
How'd you get a job with this company?
I got a job with the company about 30 years ago when I had an idea and about $5,000 in the bank.
So you started the company. Where are you from originally? How many brothers and sisters, and where are you in the pecking order?
I grew up outside the city in Penwyn, Pennsylvania, and number 3 of 4.
All righty. And 8 to 14, what kind of stuff were you up to? What were you doing 8 to 14 years old?
8 to 14, I wanted to be able to make some additional money, and I wanted some a Batman button and toy. So my parents gave me an idea, said you have to figure out something. So what I did was I started contacting companies like BP and STP Motor Oil and asked them to send me stickers. So they went ahead and I sent out about 100 letters to companies. I got about 3 back, but in those 3, there was a couple hundred stickers. So I took those stickers, went to school, and sold them for 15 to 20 cents each.
So what does that tell us about you, the fact that you were innovative and you were coming up with ideas as a young age? What's that have to do with building this business nowadays? It's
just about, thinking of ideas and just going with it, and, inventing ideas and running with that idea. Not all of them work. You just got to keep throwing it.
And what else did you do as a kid to make money? And what did you do different than the other kids in doing that stuff?
Well, I always wanted to work to make money. So I was a waiter. I was a busboy. I was pumping gas.
What'd you do different than those other kids, though?
They were playing a lot, and I wanted to work. All
right. That's what I needed to know. Frank.
So, Scott, go back to your parents again. You told us they told you an early lesson about making money or paying for something. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a lot of money around, and they weren't giving it to me. So, they said, you got to figure out a way to get it, to earn it. So, one was the stickers. Another one was I was selling greeting cards door to door.
And so why is that important to you?
It's important because, when I'm in the company I have now, I gainfully employ close to 35 people, and I like to enhance everybody's life, including my own. And, it's hard work.
Mm-hmm. Jeffrey?
So, Scott, you were telling us in the green room that at age 8, an early age, your parents got divorced. How did that impact your life?
A major impact. I mean, there was really not a lot of parent supervision, and you had to survive on my own. Really, that's just the way it was.
And you were in a neighborhood with a lot of kids. I mean, what was it like growing up in that neighborhood where you said probably 30 or 40 kids around?
Yeah, I mean, back then, you're going back, 50 years ago, a lot of the families, the kids weren't divorced, and I was like the oddball, like he's from the divorced family. So it was tough. It was tough.
And how did that experience impact how you're building Bengal Group to 38, 40 people?
It sort of gives you a sense of how to survive and make it. And when you don't have anything and you come up with ideas, that's what I do today. It truly is really.
You're kind of building your own family here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people that are in my company have been with me for 20 plus years. And, they are really my extended family, and it's awesome, even though I do have a son that's growing into the business as well.
Pat?
Scott, can you tell me a little bit about your brothers and sisters growing up?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. The siblings were being pulled in 20 different directions by the parents, and it affected their lives. So, I was fortunate to sort of, I don't know, fortunate, unfortunate, sort of be in a cocoon.
And how did that help you as you progressed in life and into your business world?
Well, you really don't have anybody. I didn't have anybody else to fall back on. So when you have to just survive on your own and you learn at such a young age, when you get to be my age now, it's the same way. I mean, I really don't have a fallback, and I have to get up there and produce every day with my team, with the group.
Caleb?
What sports did you play growing up?
I primarily played football, hockey, but wrestling was my big sport.
Did you ever have to change weight classes?
Yeah, I didn't change weight classes. I sort of stuck at 112 because I knew guys in my division I could beat it. So when I gained weight, we put the hefty bags on and ran for 3 straight days and sweated out so I could get out there at 112 because I knew I could beat the guys in the 112 division. So I stayed in the 112 division.
So it sounds like you're used to making sacrifices to win. How does that relate to the Bengal group? Have you ever had to tighten the belt on the business?
I've been through so many rough times. And it's just, you just got to stay in the fight no matter how bad it gets. The banks are coming after you. You got a landlord trying to padlock you. And you know what? You just don't give up because that will pass. You stay in the fight, never give up. Mm-hmm. And that right now, that's the way today. I don't even worry about the banks. I don't worry about a landlord because I bought my building. I financed my entire company instead of going to the bank and being, at the clutches of what the bank wants to do. So, it's great. It takes a lot to fight for that.
Frank?
Why? Why'd you stay in the business when it was so tough? Some people might say you're crazy. I guess the optimist would say you're a survivor. What was important to you about sticking it out and making it work?
Well, I was in the printing and writing, printing grades for magazines and newspapers. And when the dot-coms came and printing and magazines started to go on the downfall, I had equipment there and I had to reinvent it. So I went to the packaging sector. I never knew if I was going to win or lose, but I knew I had it. I had the gear. So we hunkered down and went towards the packaging sector. And today, the company, as everybody knows here, the packaging sector, the likes of Amazon and so forth, is off the charts. And I'm glad I stuck with that. But it's again, staying in the fight.
And so a lot of those employees saw the hard times and the prosperous times?
Yes, they did. And they stayed with the company. They stayed with me. They stayed with the plan. And everybody.
How do you translate that fighter's mentality? How do you bring that over to your employees?
It's being out on the production floor and the warehousing and communicating with the clamp truck, fork truck operators and machine operators, going out there and being one of them. I can run all my clamp trucks, fork trucks, and all the equipment in my building, as crazy as it might sound. But they look at me like one of them.
So every day's a wrestling match, and you bring your leadership and your work ethic and your enthusiasm, and you're a leader by example, it sounds like.
Yeah, and it's tough when you're out on that mat and you're getting pinned and you're not letting them pin you, and you're looking at the clock and keeping that shoulder off, and that clock all of a sudden runs down and you didn't get pinned, you got another period. And then you get up there for the third period, the guy who's trying to pin you is out of gas, and then you get him. That's it. That's it.
Jeffrey?
Don't get pinned.
So, Scott, you mentioned your son is involved in the business. I've met Andrew. He's an impressive young man. What have you learned from your son?
Fortunately, we were able to raise our kids with strong family values, and they didn't, they're not from a divorced family. So he's a go-getter, and he didn't have to suffer. Some obviously suffer very tough childhood that I experienced. Really, really tough. And
what have you learned from your son that's helped you build the business?
He's got some great DNA, and he's got things that I don't have, and I'm exposing and bringing those things to life. He's a high energy guy, and he knows how to close deals. He's really good.
He's got his father's ability to close deals, huh?
And his mother's compassion, thank God.
Ah, interesting. Compassion in business. How about that? That's interesting. What's the website address of this organization known as the Bengal Group?
It's bengalgrp.com.
Let me have that one more time.
bengalgrp.com, short for Bengal Group.
We've been speaking with Scott Korn, President and CEO of the Bengal Group here on Executive Leaders Radio. Don't forget to visit our website. It's executiveleadersradio.com to learn more about our executive leaders, executiveleadersradio.com to learn more about our executive leaders. We'll be back in a moment right after this quick break. Stick around. Don't go away.
You now can recognize your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, executiveleadersradio.com. Yes, you can recognize your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, executiveleadersradio.com. Simply visit executiveleadersradio.com, securely enter their info, and we'll reach out to spotlight your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, executiveleadersradio.com. Don't wait. This radio and online social media and search engine exposure is quite valuable to your advisors. Yes, this radio and online social media exposure is free and quite valuable to your business advisors who deserve to be recognized. Visit executiveleadersradio.com now to nominate your deserving business advisors.
We're back. You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen. We'd like to introduce Dave Freeman, who's president and CEO of Qnb Bank. Dave, what is Qnb Bank? What are you guys doing?
Qnb Bank is a community bank established in 1877, about $1.6 billion in assets. We have 12 branches in Bucks, Montgomery, and Lehigh counties.
And where are you from originally? How many brothers and sisters, and where are you in the pecking order?
I'm from Columbus, Ohio, and I am the youngest of 6 children.
And what kind of stuff were you up to 8 to 14 years old?
Well, baseball, football, basketball, love to read, love to listen to music, and then all kinds of stuff in my neighborhood.
What kind of stuff in your neighborhood? How many kids were there, and what kind of stuff were you doing in the neighborhood?
Well, I was at the tail end of the baby boomers, so a lot of kids, probably 30 to 40 kids, and it was kick the can, kickball, football, anything we could get organized, and we were always just trying to find something to do to be outside and having fun.
What is your involvement with the other kids in the neighborhood, being outside? You mentioned in the green room from when the sun came up to where the sun went down. What's that have to do with your being since you're the president and CEO of this $1 billion bank? What's the connection there?
Well, I was pretty good about making sure we did something. So we always got things organized. If we were playing a game, you were keeping score on. I was usually the scorekeeper. So I kind of do a little bit of that now in my job at the bank.
Gotcha. All right, Jeff.
So, Dave, what was your first job when you started making money as a young kid?
I got an opportunity to work at the State Fair in Ohio and cleaning buildings. So I did that after my 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade years of high school. Cleaning buildings at the State Fair. What did you learn from that, Dave? Well, we had to work as a team. We had to work hard to get done at a reasonable hour. And had to listen to the people who have been doing it for a while and figuring out the best way to get those buildings clean. And it was hard work. And the first time I really had to do anything where it was challenging like that. Interesting. In the green room, you were telling us about your father. He was an educator. He worked for some companies. Did you ever go to work with your dad? I had the opportunity to go into his offices when he was the finance director of the city of Columbus, just because I thought it was the city hall, but never actually spent time at his job. I was too young. And what do you take away from your dad that you take to work every day at the bank? Well, my dad was really a bright guy. He really knew a lot. He learned a lot. He read a lot. And so I try to be that same way. I'm always trying to keep up with everything that's going on and continuously learn. Sounds like you really respected him. Yeah, he was a very, very brilliant guy. I think I'm doing things differently. I did do things differently as a dad than he did. We had some dysfunction in our family, but I did really respect his intellect and that part of it.
Frank?
So, Dave, you paint a real solid picture of your neighborhood and community, and that really starts with family. So tell me about Mom. What what do you bring from mom to work every day? How are you like her?
Well, my mom was the one we could rely on. She made sure everything happened in our family. With 6 kids, it was challenging. She went back and got her 4th year of college, and she was in her 40s and started teaching school. And so she just had tremendous compassion for those kids that she taught. Really, she taught in a really difficult part of Columbus inner city schools, and I got an opportunity to go down there. I just love the way that she cared about those kids and tried to make their lives better.
All right, so she was running the kids' lives. What values from your family, your mom and dad, do you bring with you to QNB?
I think try to be ethical, honest, treat people like you want to be treated. All those kind of fundamental things that I think some people call those Midwestern values.
So you bring a little bit of the traditional Columbus community at QNB today.
I think I do to some extent. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Caleb.
Dave, you're the youngest of 6. What was it like growing up with 5 siblings?
It was pretty good most of the time. My brother was 7 years older. He was pretty tough on me at times, but I had my 2 older sisters. Older sisters are fantastic. They were actually my second and third moms, and then my 2 younger sisters. We were pretty close in age and did a lot of stuff together in the neighborhood. So my siblings were always great to me.
So it sounds like the older siblings cared for you pretty well. What effect does that have on you as the CEO and president of QNB?
Well, we really try to have a very strong, caring culture about the people that work here. We worry about them. We care about them. We try to make sure they take time off, try to make sure they have as much work-life balance as they can. And so I definitely bring that compassion that my siblings had for me to our group here at QNB.
Mm-hmm. Pat?
Dave, you mentioned that you liked reading a lot growing up. What was it that you liked to read?
I read a little bit of everything. We had a lot of books in the house, so if it was there and I could understand it, I'd start reading it. And I just loved it. It just took you to a different world, and you learn so much about so many things by reading.
And what does that say about what you're doing today, all those different things that you read?
Yeah, I still read a lot today, and I think, it just gives you the perspective to understand all the different viewpoints you have to deal with in today's world by having that exposure to multiple cultures and all the things you learn from reading books.
And did you have a favorite book growing up?
Well, I love Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky. I might not be pronouncing that right, but yeah, I love that book. That was my favorite book.
And what was it that you loved about it?
I just love the characters. I love the different roles they had and how different people had an impact on that family. And it was just so well written.
And how does that tie into what you're doing today?
Well, I think you have to understand everybody comes to work from a different perspective, and you have to respect that and not have this viewpoint that everybody has to be just like you and see the world just like you. You have to understand those different perspectives and understand that as you're interacting with the different people at the bank.
Dave, I see how important clients and employees are to QNB, but it sounds like community is a pretty big deal for you too, and you've evolved into a spokesperson for the community. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we do so much. Just me and the whole team does so much as a community. We just feel as a community bank, we're only as strong as the communities we serve. So we are constantly trying to figure out ways we can strengthen the communities we serve. And we feel that comes back to us and strengthens our bank.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you give back to the community, you or the bank organization? How do you give back to certain areas of that community?
Yeah, all of our executives are on nonprofit boards. We donate a significant amount of money to different organizations. We're involved in, we do a lot of volunteering. We're involved in all the fun stuff in the community, parade, et cetera. So pretty much anything that goes on in the communities we're in, we're involved in.
I understand when we were talking in the green room, you mentioned that when you were a little bit older, after you graduated college, you went to graduate school, you got an MBA, but you mentioned, and what struck me was the fact that you were going part-time, so you were like constantly juggling a bunch of stuff. What's your ability to juggle a lot of stuff and to get stuff done and to pile it on? What's that have to do with your role as says here you're the president and CEO of QNB Bank?
Well, we have a lot of stuff to get accomplished here, and I'm at least I'm involved in almost all of that in some respects. So really the time management skills I learned by going to that MBA program really come into play where I know how to prioritize. I know how to keep multiple things moving forward at the same time and also chew off things in little bits so I don't get overwhelmed with one project so I can keep everything going at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And Dave, you've had a very successful career, Fulton Bank in the background, and now president of this bank. And you're the youngest of 6 kids. I mean, growing up, would your siblings kind of be surprised that you're president of a bank right now?
I think they might be. I think I was always talking about going to law school and being an attorney, but I think that they knew I was driven. They always tried to do the best I could at everything I did. So I think most of my siblings would think I would have been successful at something. I just don't know whether I would have thought it would be a bank.
Mm-hmm. So what's the best part about being the president and CEO of a bank?
Well, I love so much about this job, but probably the thing I enjoy the most is meeting our customers. Sort of just having that opportunity to find out their story. Hearing Scott's story today, I love that kind of stuff. How did you get in this business? How did you build your business? What got you to where you are? That's my favorite part of my job. Love hearing business owners talk about it.
As the CEO of the bank, do you ever talk to your customers?
Oh, all the time. My wife and I take a customer out to dinner once a month, and then we also, I'm out on customer calls at least 5 or 6 times a month.
Do you enjoy that?
Oh, I love it. It's my favorite part of my job. It's just, the stories entrepreneurs are amazing folks. And so it's really great to hear how they got to where they are and see these multiple generation family businesses. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it sounds like it goes back to your likes of reading all different kinds of books. You really like getting to know all different kinds of business folks. What's the website address for QNB Bank?
It is qnbbank.com.
We've been speaking with Dave Freeman, President and CEO of QNB Bank here on Executive Leaders Radio. Don't forget to visit our website, executiveleadersradio.com. To learn more about our executive leaders, it's executiveleadersradio.com. We'll be back in a moment right after this quick break. Don't go away. We're back. You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen. We'd like to introduce Mark Zinman, managing partner of Zinman & Company. Mark, what is Zinman & Company? What are you folks up to?
Zinman & Company is a certified public accounting firm. We're located in Southampton, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm. And where are you from originally? How many brothers and sisters? Where are you in the pecking order?
I grew up in Huntington Valley via Mount Airy, Philadelphia. I'm the oldest of 4.
And what kind of stuff, 8 to 14 years old, were you up to?
Street hockey, baseball. Love to hang around the neighborhood.
You also mentioned you were involved with Boy Scouts. And by the way, what was your favorite subject when you were in school?
It was English.
English. And you're running an accounting firm. Okay, we'll find out about that. Frank, you want to take it from here?
Yeah, so Mark, you talked a lot about hockey in the green room, street hockey to organized hockey to refereeing hockey. I'm curious, what position did you play on your hockey teams typically?
Well, as a child, I played goalie.
And how would you describe the role of a goalie?
Last line of defense. Basically, if you were the person who had the opportunity to have the last word, I guess.
Well, last line of defense, I got to think that's pretty important to know for a client of an accounting firm. How would you say playing in a team sport like hockey helps shape you in the way you run your team and work with clients at Zinman & Company?
I think that we're a team here. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing we do. We everybody has a team of people. Every client does. Nobody has a single person. We all work together to do the best we can for our clients.
Mm-hmm. Jeff?
Mark, you're a managing partner of an impressive accounting firm. But back to your childhood, how young were you when you started making money, when you were actually handling money?
I was a cashier at a pharmacy at age 15.
And what did you learn doing that about customers, about handling money? I mean, detail oriented. I mean, that's a pretty important role. What did you learn from that you take to work every day?
Well, the thing I liked the best was just talking to people. I just like interacting with people, getting to know their stories. It was a more limited interaction in a pharmacy than in an accounting firm, but that's sort of where that started.
Do you hear some interesting stories today for a variety of clients?
I hear great stories, and everyone's unique. Their background's unique, sort of like what you're doing here. You're trying to discover how people started. That's what I do.
Mm-hmm. That's a great background for that.
Mm-hmm. Pat?
Mark, who are your influences or role models growing up?
Well, from a sports point of view, I was a huge Bobby Clark fan. But as far as who probably influenced the way I work now, would probably be my father.
And how was that? How did he influence you?
A lot of things that that he did, I tried to do some of the things differently, and they influenced me. Maybe want to have a firm that was family oriented, where my employees and myself always were family first and work second.
And how does that affect your team now?
I think it makes it an enjoyable place. Everybody knows that if there's a family thing, we'll come together, we'll cover for you, take care of your family, get back to work. Clients are very understanding. I think that they enjoy working with us for that reason.
Mm-hmm. Caleb?
Mark, tell us about the neighborhood growing up. How many kids were there?
A lot of the people moved from that Mount Airy area. There was probably 15 kids in our, 2-block area that I sort of hung around most at.
Did you hang around with all 15 of the kids, or was it kind of broken into groups?
It was broken into groups, and I sort of was a social butterfly. I sort of went from group to group. Had friends in all the different groups in our neighborhood.
Sounds like you can relate to different people. How did you keep everyone connected in the different groups to kind of have that community feel?
We at that age, we spent a lot of time outside. So you try and get people together outside. Tried to get them together in school at the lunch table.
Okay, so at the managing partner of Zinman & Company, how does that experience, what do you do to take that to work with you every day?
I like that that I can walk around this office and talk to people. I like that I can talk to each client and learn the story, and then learn how best to communicate with them to get our points across and make them understand what we're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Jeffrey?
I was interested in your story about working as the top salesman in the country for Tom McCann shoes. Tell us about that experience and maybe some particular ways that you handled that job.
Well, I got a job. It was at the Monroeville Mall in Pittsburgh. It was a Tom McCann's. It was one of their first superstores. And back then, you would wait on one customer. I thought that was a waste of time, so I would wait on 4 or 5 customers at a time. Let them I didn't like putting their shoes on, so let them put their shoes on unless they asked. And get close 5 times as many sales. So I was the top salesman in the country. I actually got offered a job as a manager, and that was probably the smartest decision I ever made, was to turn that down.
And so that juggling those deals, is it like going from conference room to conference room to conference room, and everyone's filing their tax returns, and you're kind of getting the story from each one?
Well, that is the biggest thing in account. We pivot. You got to pivot right away. I mean, if one client calls with this problem, the next client calls with another one, and you sort of have to switch gears on the fly. It's the hardest thing that people have to learn, but it's the most satisfying.
That's so interesting.
So how did you get involved with starting your own accounting firm?
I wanted to buy a house with my wife in 1987, and the firm I was with said I needed to wait. I was too young to be a partner, and I felt like I could probably make more money on my own. So I left, and I figured I would be on my own for 6 months, and I'd find another accounting firm, and that was 33 years ago.
Uh-huh. So it ends up that how large or how small is the team nowadays?
We're about 30 people.
Mm-hmm. And you're growing the firm, so you've really had a lot of success in growing. Why is this accounting firm so successful?
I think it's our philosophy. I mean, we consider ourselves to be consultants first and compliance second. So we want to be like a business consultant to each of our clients, providing them the knowledge that we may gain. A lot of clients are stuck in the 4 walls of their office, so they hear rumors from friends. And my favorite one is I know somebody that paid no income taxes. How do I do that? I said, well, maybe you can make an introduction, because I like to do the same thing. And that person never exists, obviously.
Uh-huh. So you're pretty comfortable dealing with a wide variety of people and a wide variety of businesses and industries, aren't you? I mean, it's like you're not specializing in any one industry.
I always say I specialize in people who want to make money. So if you look at our client roster, we really don't have any one industry for which we have a significant portion of our revenue.
Mm-hmm. And this firm, you're advising, when you say you're consultants first and compliance second, so it's not just tax. you're talking to your clients about how to build their business, how to build their team, all different computer stuff. You're covering all the different aspects with the different CEOs.
Absolutely, because you got to understand something. I see what everybody else does. People who own their own business only see their own business. So I can bring best case scenarios from other clients to the current clients. So I'm just the hub of a wheel. I don't want to come across as being the smartest one. It's just that I see what works and doesn't work and then try and share that knowledge with other clients.
Wow. So you don't see yourself as an accountant necessarily just playing with the numbers. You see yourself as continually collecting experiences from everybody and bringing those experiences back to everybody. It's like the same thing you were doing as a shoe salesman. You understood what the goal was, but you figured out a better way to do things. And in that case, it was how to sell more shoes. In this case, it's how to better serve your clients because you're trying to bring them a wider dearth of experience. Am I seeing that correctly?
Yeah, because I don't think everybody has to file and pay taxes. Nobody wants to pay someone to file and pay taxes. So you got to find something that's of value to the client and bring that to them, and bring it to them at their level and at their way of understanding it.
Wow. So you're a master understander of people, let alone you have to understand taxes and stuff like that. But I guess it goes back to your role in Huntington Valley in the neighborhood with the kids, where you were friendly with all different groups of kids. And therefore, you were able to, keep a bunch of different buddies doing different things. It's the same thing you're doing with these clients. You're really a people person, even though you happen to have a CPA degree. Am I seeing that right?
Yeah, I would say that the biggest compliment I ever get is that I can't believe you're a CPA, because my personality doesn't seem to fit what people think a CPA is. And I actually relish in the stories of all people, whether they're driving a truck route or they own a multi-million-dollar company, just their background, their family stories and stuff. It's the joy I get out of being an accountant.
Well, what's the website address for Zinman and Company?
It is thecpa.com.
Let me have that again.
Thecpa.com. THECPA.com.
Well, that's nice and simple. TheCPA.com. We've been speaking with Mark Zinman, managing partner of Zinman and Company, here on Executive Leaders Radio. Don't forget to visit our website, executiveleadersradio.com. Stick around. We'll be back in a moment right after this quick break. Don't go away.
Recognize your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, Executive Leaders Radio. Yes, you can recognize your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, executiveleadersradio.com. Simply visit executiveleadersradio.com, securely enter their info, and we'll reach out to spotlight your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, Executive Leaders Radio. Don't wait. This radio and online social media and search engine exposure is quite valuable. Yes, this radio and online social media and search engine exposure is quite valuable to your business advisors who deserve to be recognized. Visit executiveleadersradio.com now to nominate your deserving business advisors for free exposure.
Back. You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen. We'd like to introduce Alex Bassett Strange, co-owner of Bassett's Ice Cream Company. Alex, what is Bassett's Ice Cream Company?
Bassett's Ice Cream is America's oldest ice cream brand. We've been around since 1861, making us the sixth generation family business.
And where you're from originally? Where you're from originally?
Yeah, originally I was born out here in the Philadelphia area, Abington more specifically, but I grew up moving all around the country. I lived in Boston, Memphis, and Minneapolis.
What do you think moving all around the country when you were a kid did to you? What do you think the benefit to the business is of your moving around as a kid?
I was able to adapt very quickly to the new areas that I moved to. I gained friends quickly. I learned social situations. I just picked things up rather quickly.
How's that helping the business grow?
Well, business environments change all the time. Ice cream trends change, new flavors, all sorts of things that you just have to adapt to if you're going to be able to make it.
And how many brothers and sisters do you have, and where are you in the pecking order?
I have a twin brother and younger sister.
What was it like growing up with a twin brother, and what do you bring from that experience, having a twin brother to work every day?
My brother and I are very close. We talk every day. Yeah, he and I are able to trust each other, and so it's really helped me learn about relationships and how I can just really connect with somebody. And I think it helps me in my personal relationships and business relationships.
Interesting, Jeffrey.
So, Alex, you did have an interesting professional career, if I will. You said you scooped ice cream as a kid, but then you went to work for corporate America. I mean, Hormel Foods is one of the largest food companies in the country. So, what was the reason that you went into that corporate world from scooping ice cream? You didn't just continue.
Glad you asked, Jeff. I wanted to get a chance to learn from another company, gain a new perspective. I wanted to stay in the food business, but I wanted somebody other than a relative to tell me how I was doing. I thought that was just a great place to be. Hormel Foods was a good company, and they are where I would like to take Bassett's one day.
And what did you learn there specifically, Alex, that you take to work every day and use in your strategy planning or just running the business from any standpoint?
Well, everything they do over there is a lot bigger than what we do here. We're a small family business. So I learned how to work with a larger team. I learned how to produce food very safely. I know their food safety practices are very top notch, and so are ours here at Bassett's. Just really learning what the big guys do.
What did you learn? What did you learn not to do?
Well, I think that work-life balance is very important. And Hormel, those were some long, hard days. And here at Bassett's, it's a lot more of a worker-friendly environment.
Frank?
So, Alex, some of your family members have come in and out of the business, and you have also, yet you're here committed and progressed to a leadership role. I'm curious, to you, what's so compelling about the Bassett's ice cream story to make you want to continue the tradition?
Bassett's ice cream, like I said, is America's oldest ice cream brand. We serve a super premium 16.5% butterfat ice cream. It's a real honor to be a part of this tradition. And my family's been doing it since the Civil War. I really want to carry it on. I want to make sure we do it right.
And do you have a burden, a responsibility, a privilege on your shoulders to continue with sixth generation business?
We have to make sure that we're doing things exactly right. We have to make sure that we keep the quality up, no cutting corners, and keep my great-grandfather's ice cream recipe performing very well.
So you hear your great-great-grandfather over your shoulder every day, making sure you continue the tradition.
It's not lost on me.
Mm-hmm. Caleb?
Hey, Alex, what sports did you play growing up?
Yeah, when I was younger, I ran cross country. I was a mountain biker and also a cross country skier.
Did you have
the endurance sports.
Yeah, did you have a specific role on any of those teams?
So in my skiing days, I was the captain of the ski team. I also was a very strong varsity runner through my entire high school career, and that was just awesome.
So these seem like individual sports, but you had a leadership role. I mean, how do you act as a leader on kind of more of an individual sport?
Well, so I took running and made it fun. I try to get everybody aligned to work harder than the other teams. And so, you kind of take a group of kids and work with them to do something great, more than they otherwise would have.
Yeah, not everybody has fun at work. So how do you translate what you did there in your childhood up to leading the business here at Bassett's Ice Cream?
Well, what's really great about Bassett's is we're already working with ice cream, so we're starting from a great place. But we can definitely, I've learned through my adolescence in sports, the ability to really kind of take people in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Pat?
Now, can you tell us a little bit about your mom and dad and what qualities you get from each of them?
Yes. My father, he's a very critical decision maker. He thinks things through, weighs out pros and cons, even writes them down before making decisions. I remember buying a car when I was younger, and he had a whole decision tree written out. He's also a big planner, so everything is very organized, something that we really have to focus on here at Bassett's to make sure that we don't so we keep taking steps in the right direction.
And then how about your mom?
Yeah, my mother's very social and very compassionate. So I've definitely learned a lot more about working with our customers and making sure that it's, everything stays fun and so on from my mother.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned that when you were a little bit older, you got a job as a bicycle mechanic. What was so attractive about you being a bicycle mechanic, and what did you do, and what's that have to do with making ice cream?
Well, I was a bicycle mechanic in my high school years. And like I said, I raced bikes. So in order to get them fixed, I had to learn how to do it myself. And in working at that bike shop, I learned how to troubleshoot and make sure that we did repairs safely. And that's something that in the business world, you have to do every day. You have to troubleshoot problems and make sure that you get them solved correctly and safely.
So it sounds to me like, you did a number of endurance sports. You were a cross country runner, this mountain bike. It's like, you really like testing yourself. Yet on the other hand, you were captain of the running team. People recognize some leadership quality in you. So you've got both the individual thing going on as well as the team building thing. I guess that helps you build the Bassett's Ice Cream Company?
Does. The endurance sports have been great and really helping me learn to push myself, keep working hard. And then when it comes to the group, it's important to get all the team aligned in the same direction.
Yeah, and so I guess the good thing is you're sixth generation, so you get to go in at 10 or 11 o'clock and leave at 3 or 4 o'clock and goof off and hang out, and you don't got a lot of responsibility, do you? You're a family member.
That's one of the perceptions I work really hard to, get away from. I usually am one of the first people here and the last one to leave. Working on the weekends, just want to make sure that, I'm setting an example of hard work.
So actually, the fact that you're sixth generation could be a burden because people may think you got it easy, but considering what you've done to yourself in terms of sports, where you really took on the endurance sports and you really persevered, and the teammates elected you to be the captain of the team, it sounds to me like, you really deserve a lot of responsibility. In fact, earlier you were talking about how you really feel a lot of responsibility to build the sixth generation member of the family. Am I correct about this?
You are. With every decision that I make, I'm thinking about the 5 generations that came before me. And I know that what I do can't jeopardize the business. So we're very careful, strategic.
Yeah, sounds like you're hardworking. If we were doing a better job interviewing, what are we missing? What else should we know about you?
Gosh, you guys are doing a great job. I would say that, we actually, we're exporting our ice cream now. So in addition to just selling here domestically, we actually just started exporting our ice cream. Actually, back in 2008, started exporting to China, now recently Taiwan and Korea.
Wow,
you're really growing the company. You are taking it to the next one. What do you think your 6 generations ago, your great would say if they understood the size and the scope of the business nowadays? You think he'd be surprised?
I think he would be amazed. I would love the chance to talk with him. I think it would be very interesting.
Website address of the company is?
BassettsIceCream.com. Check us out. That's BassettsIceCream.com.
We've been speaking with Alex Bassett Strange, co-owner of Bassett's Ice Cream. Jeffrey, can you give us a quick rundown on who we've had on the show today?
Great show, Herb. We had Scott Korn, president and CEO of the Bengal Group, Dave Freeman, the president and CEO of Qnb Bank, Mark Zinman, managing partner of Zinman & Company, and just now Alex Bassett Strange, co-owner, Bassett's Ice Cream Company.
I'd like to thank my co-hosts, Jeff Mack, Newmark, Caleb Hoppus, Hanlon, Frank Hennessy, Premier Planning Group, and Pat Riley, USI, for giving me a hand structuring the questions, hopefully providing our listening audience an educational and entertaining show. I'd like to thank our listening audience for listening. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a radio show. Don't forget to visit our website, executiveleadersradio.com, to learn more about our executive leaders. Thank you for joining us today, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.